Could you tell us something about how you acted out or pronounced the words, and if there's something behind this?
It's something I've been using in a few films prior, and that Daniel and I used in this film, and also the new film we're working on, which we don't record live sound. It's all dubbed in studio after, and that gives us a control of having a sort of dissociation in between the characters' actions and their image and what they're saying. It's almost as if you're inside each character's head. You're sort of listening to an internal monologue rather than as if they were actually expressing something. So it's almost as if you had an objective perspective by the character of his own emotions. Like they're saying emotional things, but in a very deadpan tone with no emotion. And it's also sort of like, I think the story is quite like melodramatic in some ways, the story of betrayal and all that, but then that's sort of critiqued through the tone of the acting, which is anti-melodrama in some way.
And is there a symmetry, or is there something that starts and ends and starts again and so on?
Well, the film's bookended by two images of the waterfalls. First the waterfalls falling in their normal way in slow motion, and then at the end with the waterfalls going up. And it's sort of, I guess, just this circular motion where it starts with the monologue by Nina Simone talking about time, and that time goes over all conflicts, all racial conflicts, and the story is sort of about like racial conflicts or guilt, about like pent-up guilt from like colonial times, and the waterfall is just a symbol of time that sort of washes over all of these things. So there's that symmetry. And then there's a bunch of themes. We didn't look at it so much symmetrically as much as like sort of themes that worked off of each other, like the utopia of Brasilia and the utopia of like the forest were two themes that we wanted, so that worked. But then at the end there's a scene with the, what's it called, the aristocratic mansion and the social stand, the socialist stand in Argentina, and so that created a symmetry in between those two things. And then those two blocks sort of oppose each other, which is sort of the uncorrupted and the corrupted, or this utopic and then the reality in some way.
But I think that's even further complicated by the dialogue somewhat. If we have sort of dichotomies between the aesthetics and the settings and the places of an urban utopia and a natural utopia and an aristocratic and sort of impoverished area, the dialogue is sort of meant to like complicate that and make it not be so much a binary, but something a bit beyond that. And
yeah, it's like this statement we always talk about is the artist Thomas Hirschhorn, when he was in graphic design school, he went to this sort of extreme leftist graphic design school that said never put a Rolls Royce next to a starving African child because it's a cliche image. But then he says, why not? It is not only a cliche image, it's a cliche regard that makes it a cliche image. But if you look at the image in any other terms, it will become something else that's actually much more powerful than the cliche. And so that's why he says, use the Rolls Royce next to the starving child. And that's something also that we've tried to pick on, like a number of cliches, and then twist them in a certain way so that the perspective on that cliche is a bit different.
Thank you very much.
Okay.